What do these three men have to do with grade school basketball? Stick around and you'll find out. So two of the men in this picture are really famous. That's Neil Armstrong on the left and Buzz Aldrin on the right. And this is the Apollo 11 crew. Off to the moon they went, and Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, of course, landed on the moon. But the third guy, the one in the middle of this picture, Michael Collins, here's what happened with Apollo 11. The spacecraft that went out to the moon was actually in two pieces: the command module, which was known as Columbia, and the lunar module, which was known as the Eagle. And they got to the moon, and they had to separate. And the lunar module was flown down to the surface of the moon. The Eagle has landed, and that's where Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin went ahead and landed on the moon. One small step for man. But what about Michael Collins? Michael Collins had to pilot the command module, and he had to stay above the moon, orbiting the moon. So that way, as his two buddies went ahead and played on the surface of the moon, when they were done, Neil Armstrong flew him back up, and then Michael Collins would have to rendezvous, had to catch them, get them all back to the command module so that the three of them could all come back home. And I asked my players, what would happen if Michael Collins decided to get into the lunar module and go down to the surface of the moon with Neil and with Buzz? And they all know the answer. All three of them would have died on the moon. In the same way, really, really bad things are going to happen to your offense when all five players end up below the free throw line. All it takes is one long shot and a long rebound, and the other team is off to the races. One quick deflection on a pass, the other team is off to the races. Heck, a baseline inbounds play that ends with all four players underneath the free throw line. If the ball gets stolen, it's going to be a fast break down at the other end of the floor. And so one thing I stat for my grade school teams is how many times do we end up with all five players below the free throw line on offense. This actually caught the Miami Redhawks and cost them a berth to the NCAA tournament this past year. They were playing an Akron tie game, and you see as Miami's ball handler tries to take it in, the weak side wing that's supposed to have backside spacing ends up curling inside and giving up the transition layup down to the other end of the floor. Akron goes to the NCAA tournament, and Miami's season is over. You're going to need game film to help make sure that this becomes a habit for your players. This is not something that you can just teach one time at practice and then it's just going to happen. But if you can show this to them and then stat track it each game and try to get as close to zero as you can, it's possible for a fourth grade team to have 0 times without a Michael Collins in a game. So this is us in fourth grade, 5th game of the season, and I know it's tempting to watch the ball, but I want you to watch what's going on above the surface of the moon. Look at backside spacing above the arc. Now, 3 different girls are very aware of not trying to all run in for the offensive rebound, but make sure we have transition defense if necessary. This is game 8, same season, and you'll see again the 2 girls at the top of this, and they actually are talking to each other during this, and I asked them during film study, what are you 2 talking about? My number 11 point guard said we were talking about how good this was going to look like on game film. They already know in 4th grade this looks good on tape. And then here's 5th grade, and again, take a look, all 5 below the free throw line, and 2 of them recognize it, and the rotation back. By now, it's old habit. They know exactly what to look like. They look like a couple of gargoyles standing on top of a castle, watching over their teammates down below. So teach your kids about the unsung hero of Apollo 11, and of how they mirror his unselfish attitude. They'll set up their team to never get burned in transition defense. After all, it's just one small step for your wing, but one giant leap for your basketball team.
Wow.